Hey there nation, welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are proud to present to you our very first Warhammer 40,000 battle report. This is a 1,000 point battle that is fought between yours truly with my Necromunda Penal Corps, which is basically my Astronaut Term. I'm going to talk about those guys a little bit here in a second. Versus my buddy Lady Domina of the Black Legion with her Heretic of Starties army. So this is a 1,000 point battle report, and we're really excited to get this battle report series on the go. Ever since Games Workshop switched to the 8th edition of 40k, my gaming group's been really excited about it. Say the guys at my local game shop, so we decided to embark on this little adventure together. So like I said before, my army is called the Necromunda Penal Corps, and in case you're not sure what those are, back in World War II and throughout history, it's been a common practice for different militaries around the world to create what's called conscription, also known as penal corps. Basically, the idea was that you take criminals of various degrees, and you put them in military units. So you basically make those guys go on to missions to fight for your nation's behalf on a war. Usually, such organizations were usually put on the most suicidal missions ever, with no chance of any of them surviving, because, let's face it, these guys were criminals. No one really cared if these guys made it or not. And so, since I already have a bunch of Necromunda models for my Necromunda battle report, I decided why not use them to make my Astronaut Term army. It'd be really cool, be very narrative, be very fluffy, and make them look kind of like a very narrative kind of base kind of look to it too. Plus, my name is Commander CheapSkate, so you know I was going to shell out too much cash when it came to making this military. So I've always been fascinated with the Imperial Guard. I thought they had a really cool history. You know, this group of like really normal people just giving us a bare bones issued weaponry, and they're basically taking the battle and sticking it to their enemies by just sheer will is the reason why they only win. And so I kind of like this idea. And what better way to do this than to have Necromundan gangs from the different houses being arrested and then being given a choice. Either they could go to prison and be executed for their crimes, or they could pick up their weapons and this time fight for the glory of the Emperor, for the Imperial Guard. And that's exactly what I'm going for this one. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, this is a 1,000 point battle report. Let's go to the army list real quick and talk about exactly what we're bringing for this one. Alright, so let's go and talk about the first Necromunda Penal Battalion. This is my army. It's called Bravo Bad Company. It is a 1,000 point Astronaut Term army. So that's right, this is supposed to be the Bravo Infantry Company for the first Necromunda Penal Battalion. Nicknamed Bad Company for obvious reasons, because these guys are conscription soldiers. Now, I do understand that the Astronaut Term Codex kind of rolled out this week, so this battle report was fought before that happened. We're using primarily index rules. We'll probably be using the index rules for a while now, just because we're all kind of like putting our armies together at this point. We're just kind of throwing together for whatever leftover kits that we have. So before we go any further though, what I want to do is my army list is going to be a little bit different when I go through it. I actually broke it down to like what it looked like if it was an actual real infantry company. So first of all, we're going to start at the headquarters. First of all, my general is Commander Patricio CheapSkate Denarius. He is called Commander CheapSkate for the obvious reason because he is kind of a mercenary captain. The idea is that he scrapes together bare bone units to take on suicide missions for the Empire and the Empire man for the Imperium, and he gets paid to do it. And what better way to deal with criminals? He is a company commander. He's equipped with a bolt gun, chainsword, as well as Voxcaster. I then have, of course, my executive officer. That is Judge Fear of the Precinct 13. He's a Lord Commissar. He's got a bolt pistol as well as a power sword, as well as Judge Darko, who's the company first sergeant, who's also another Lord Commissar who's armed with a bolt pistol and a power sword as well. I'm taking these two guys for the obvious reasons. Commander CheapSkate is a company commander, so therefore he can give out orders, two of them specifically, especially if guys have Vox equipment for the squads. My two Lord Commissars for their summary execution ability, so that way no matter what happens, if I have to take a morale test, the most that will run away is just one guy for obvious reasons for that one. And then of course I got two other people. I have two fire support officers. That is Judge Anderson. She is a master of ordnance. She's equipped with a last pistol, like her for her artillery barrage special rule. And then same thing with Judge Hershey. She's an officer of the fleet with the last pistol for the exactly the same reason. She's got like an air strafing special ability that she can call up. Both those abilities are only one use only for the battles, but then again, you know, I'm running Imperial Guard. I don't have a really lot of high strength attacks that can really launch at my opponents, so that will definitely help me out for the battles to come. And so that pretty much wraps up my headquarters portion of my army. Alright, up next we have our first platoon that's called Drake's Destroyers. It is led by Judge Drake. He is a platoon commander with a shotgun and chainsword. Makes kind of sense that the Astra military will count on adaptees of bodies enforcers to pretty much enforce law and order as well as discipline amongst the ranks of these guys. He's armed with he's a platoon commander. He's armed with a shotgun and chainsword, like I said before. After him we have the Suicide Squad. It's a 10-man veteran squad that's equipped with a flamer, a heavy flamer, missile launcher, as well as a Voxcaster. And then we have two 6-man special weapon squads. Those two squads are called called 911. One's called Mega Man's crew. It is a 6-man special weapons squad with 3 flamers and a Voxcaster. And then Busted Nine's crew, who is a 6-man special weapons squad with 3 plasma guns and a Voxcaster as well. Pretty much the narrative is supposed to be that Mega Man and Busted Nine decided to split 911 into 2 groups, and basically they're running point for the Drake's Destroyers, which are basically kind of like my specialized elite portion of the bad company is basically what these guys are supposed to be doing. So these guys will be taking a lot of the brunt of the attacks because these guys have all the special weapons, and I'm going to send them where it's thickest in order to have them fight it out. So that will make up first platoon. Up next, we have a second platoon. That's my infantry platoon as well. They're called Mason's Marauders. It is led by Judge Mason, who's a platoon commander, equipped with a shotgun as well as chainsword. And of course, we got 3 10-man infantry squads. We got the Jury, called Lemonhead's crew. That's half of my Jury gang. As a 10-man infantry squad, they're equipped with last cannon, grenade launcher, as well as Voxcaster. Up next is the Pelago Slam Kings. A 10-man infantry squad is equipped with a last cannon, flamer, as well as Voxcaster. And finally, the Sleeping Dogs, which is another 10-man infantry squad who are armed with flamer, last cannon, and Voxcaster. So this guy's these guys, the second platoon guys, they are infantry platoon, so they're designed to be fighting up close and personal, but they're also equipped with last cannons, kind of like an anti-armor kind of unit, so that way they have 3 last cannons that can concentrate fire on any armored vehicles that my opponents decide to bring up to the battle. So very, very neat group. I'm really interested to see exactly what these guys can do in combat. So that makes up the roster for second platoon. Next, we have third platoon. It's also an infantry platoon as well. This group's called Cold's Commandos. It is led by Judge Cole. He's a platoon leader, armed with a shotgun and chainsword. We have 3 10-man infantry squads. We have the Jury, called Riptor's crew. We have equipped with a heavy bolter, plasma gun, as well as a Voxcaster. We have the Iron Sights, which is another 10-man infantry squad. They're equipped with a flamer, heavy bolter, and Voxcaster. And next, we have the Killjoys, a 10-woman infantry squad, armed with a grenade launcher, as well as a Voxcaster as well. So second platoon is kind of like my heavy weapons platoon. The idea that those guys are meant to be kind of like the suppressing element within the maneuver elements of this company. Their job is to stay there and to kind of open fire on the heavy units. The third platoon, Cold's Commandos, those guys are more like my maneuvering unit, my flanking unit that would have to start laying down some pain at the same time. So like I said, this my army is kind of laid out like a real infantry company. You know, you got 4 platoons inside of each one, has a very specific job, and that's the job of Cold's Commandos, is to get in there, get stuck in, and to put down the beating on anybody who would dare rise up against the Imperium. And then finally we have 4th Platoon, also known as Gosling's Goons, are what these guys are. They're led by Judge Gosling as well as the Interceptor. He is a platoon commander with a shotgun as well as chainsword. And this is my conscription platoon. We have a 20-man unit of conscripts called the People Eaters, so that's why the Scabies are getting involved in this battle report as well. Conscripts are nice. They have like really poor leadership, but you know, they fight just pretty much as well as any other Imperial Guard unit, except that you can get a lot more of them. I'm not sure. I can see why that all the infantry squads can only have 10 men apiece. I mean, each of my platoon leaders can issue out orders. Same thing with my company commander. Plus, they have Voxcasters, so they can definitely send out orders to all the units. If you made these guys any much larger than 10 men, it'd be overwhelming. So because I can understand why they have a conscription squad of 20 guys. So these guys are my cannon fodder guys. I could care less if the People Eaters survive or die. I mean, they're scabies, for God's sake. We're talking about radioactive cannibals, so no one really cares if these dudes survive or not as well. But to support the conscripts, I have another unit called the One Hit Wonders. It is a 6-man special weapons squad. It consists of 3 sniper rifles as well as a Voxcaster as well, so that way they can put in some long-range fire, maybe take out some key characters at the same time, and kind of lay down some suppression fire to allow my people leaders to kind of go in as well. And then finally, of course, we have 2 detachments from my army. We have a battalion detachment as well as a vanguard detachment, which gives me a total of 7 command points. Now, I know that you have these new stratagem rules that are coming out, where the new codex is rolling up, but like I said before, we're only using the index rules for right now and the basic rule book. So because of that, you might not really see us get to use those different stratagems in this battle report. I apologize ahead of time because of that, but that's pretty much how the way we rolled on this one. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up the first Necromundan Bravo Company for Bad Company for the first Necromundan Penal Corps. With that being said, we're going to move on to my opponent's list, the Black Company. I'm going to put on some background music. If you want to see exactly what she took in her army, you can kind of pause and take a look at your own leisure. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Chaos Space Marines.
you apes? You want to live forever?
Alright folks, let's go ahead and get this started. Let's talk about deployment real fast. As you can see, we're fighting on a 4x6 table. We're fighting kind of like in this kind of hybrid, kind of ruined battlescape here. My buddy Lady Domina, she is deployed on the near side of the table while I'm deployed on the far side of the table. Basically we're playing like the basic, I believe it's called just standing war rules, I believe is what it's called. That's the one where you actually have 2 objectives in each of your deployment zones, and the goal is to control the most objectives by the end of turn number 5. And so you can see we have like all of our armies kind of laid out right there, as you can see them right there. Just a fair warning, this is the very first game of Warhammer 40,000 that my friend and I have ever played in our lives. So if we get some rules wrong or done incorrectly, please let us know in the comments below, because like I said, we're just starting this game and starting to play for the first time, so we might see some rule mistakes as the battle report goes on. So that being said, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and zoom into the individual deployment areas so that way you can see exactly where everything's located at. So here's an overhead shot of the entire battlefield. As you can see, both our armies are pretty much laid out in kind of like a line formation across each other. The idea is to control the actual little icons there. You can see in the bottom part of the screen on Lady Domina's territory, you have a package of crates, which is her objective in the west superette in the left-hand corner. She also got another one next to that little off-ramp there on the right-hand corner next to the hill. That's where hers are located at. My objectives are located right in the center of Alexander's apartment store, which is the other side of that overpass, and then over the right-hand side I also have in that ruined building as well. Pretty much the idea is my battle plan here is to have her come to me. She's playing Heretic of Starties, so these guys are cast Space Marines. They're meant for assaulting, so luckily I have a lot of space between her deployment and my area, so my plan here is to kind of wheel her down with long range fire, and then commit at the very last minute and do any close combat. Pretty much my idea is to have my main battle lines kind of go to where that overpass is located at, as well as that series of debris there on the right hand side, so that way I have like this kind of like impregnable wall of firepower that she has to march through in order before she close ranks with me. From what I've understand from the rules, Astronaut Term guys and Imperial Guard guys are supposed to do mass shooting is what they're really good at, just everybody just opening fire on the same target, so that's pretty much what I'm going for anyways. I have no vehicles to speak of. She's got a Predator tank, which would be kind of scary to see, as well as a Decimator, I believe it's called. That's like the that's kind of like the Dreadnought with the twin soul petards, which are really, really dangerous, so we'll see exactly how that plays out as well. So that's pretty much the plan I'm kind of going for. So, starting my left-hand side, secure my left-hand flank, we have a Limited Heads crew. Those guys are for a part of my infantry platoons. Those are just a 10-man squad. The last cannon, I'm putting them right there to kind of hold down that left-hand side, and at the same time, putting long-range firepower to take on anything that comes flanking on the left-hand exposed side of my department store, because inside the department store is where my first objective is located at. And tucked inside of the department stores, you can see I have my Lord Commissar on the left-hand side. That's Judge Fear. He's on the second floor. And right in the middle there, I have my crate, which is my very first objective. On the second floor, where that hole is on the Alexander department store, of course, I have my Flag of Slant Kings. Those guys are also on the last can as well, kind of be able to shoot from anything that comes that direction as well. And on the very first floor, I have my 10-man squad of the Sleeping Dogs. Those guys also have a last can as well, so that way this building is kind of like this little last cannon fortress, or anything that comes flying to that area will be shot at. So my original idea was I thought that my opponent Lady Domina tried to deploy all of her armor on the left-hand side of the battlefield. That's why I put all my infantry guys there with last cannons, but then at the last minute she decided to take her heavy support guys and put them on the far right-hand flank, so that was kind of disconcerting. But at the same time, though, she does send her light infantry after my troops. They'll just blast her apart with last cannon fire. In the center of the table, we have second platoon. That's Cold's Commandos. As you can see, I have my 3-man units of 3 10-man infantry squads located there in front of that little ruined building, as well as Alexander's apartment store. Right there, of course, you have Judge Cold in the back who's leading them. My idea here is to have those 3 infantry squads headed to that debris as well as a razor wire, so that they can take cover and at the same time put in some long-range fire as well. And right behind them in that ruined building is where we have my HQ resources located at. Here's another shot of that photo from my side of the table. As you can see, right in the center of that ruined building, I have Commander CheapSkate as well as Judge Hershey as well as Judge Anderson. My 2 fire control officers are located inside that ruined building as well. Pretty much using Cold's Commandos in order to block any incoming fire that's coming their way. At the same time, I use their barrage as well as airstrike abilities in order to cause some pain and start messing them up that way as well. And then on the left hand, of course, we have the Suicide Squad. That's my 10-man veteran squad. They're there to kind of protect and act as bodyguards for my 3 HQ choices. And located here on the left-hand side between that concrete wall as well as that office building, I have, of course, first platoon, which is Drake's Destroyers. I got Judge Drake right there next to that wall. Right in front of them, of course, I have my first crew. That's Mega Man's crew. That's my unit of 3 Flamers, as well as Voxcaster's 6-man weapons platoon squad up the top. And right behind them, of course, I have Bustin' Nine's crew. That's another 6-man special weapons squad. They're armed with 3 plasma guns, as well as a Voxcaster. The idea is that it's a good thing to have those plasma guns there to lend some high-strength attacks against my opponent's Predator, as well as her Chaos Decimator, which is across the battlefield from these guys. And then finally, on my far left-hand side, occupying the ruined building, we have, of course, Gosling's Goons, which is my 4th platoon. As you can see in that second floor, I have all of my conscripts located there as well, so that way they're looking out the windows, so that way they can shoot as well. On the very top floor, of course, I also have my one-hit wonders. Those are my sniper team that's looking at the top as well. I got Gosling on the 3rd floor. On the 2nd floor, I have Judge Darko, which is my last of my Lord Commissars, kind of holding this area down because conscripts have horrible leadership. My other Commissar, I forgot to mention this before, Judge Fear, he's located right in the middle of Alexander's department store. That's also where my other objective is located at as well. And then my second objective is located in this office building. You really can't see it because on the near side of the bottom of the screen there, but it's right there on the 2nd floor as well to protect it from any incoming fire and from any advance. So yeah, that pretty much makes my deployment for this one. Alright, now time to deploy for the Black Legion. This is Lady Dama's deployment area. She's deploying on the near side of the table. As you can see on the left-hand side, she's got her 10-man squad of Chaos Space Marines, or just a total tactical squad. They have, I believe, a missile launcher in that group as well as a melta gun, so they're kind of securing her left-hand side as well. And inside the Alexander's department store is her dregs of the Talok, which is one of her 10-man units of Chaos Cultists. And right behind them in that little crate there, you can see one of her first objectives, which is the other side of that department store, of that grocery store, rather. And making up her kind of like her center lines is another 10-man unit of cultists. That is the dregs of the Talok taking point there as well. And then right behind those 10 guys, of course, their Havoc squad. That unit is pretty devastating. It's armed with 2 plasma guns as well as a missile launcher, a heavy bolter, as well as a last cannon. So I'm really afraid to see exactly what these guys can bring. I've never played Warhammer 40,000 before, so I'm not exactly sure what to expect against Chaos Space Marines. I'm imagining they're kind of like Chaos Warriors from Warhammer Fantasy. They're really good at close combat and assaulting, and they're pretty good at shooting. So we'll see exactly what happens as the battle report continues. And then on the right-hand side, taking point, you have the Marauder, which is her Chaos Predator. That thing is armed with a Predator autocannon, twin last cannon sponsons, as well as a heavy bolter. So that thing is absolutely terrifying. I never went up against a tank before, so it'll be kind of exciting to see what happens. Right behind the tank, we have her first unit of elites. Those are her 6 chosen. Those guys are armed with bolt guns. There's power axes, a power maul, as well as lightning claws. So those guys are kit out for close combat. And then right behind them, of course, you have Iskander Kaon. That is her sorcerer. I assume he's something to do with the lore of the Black Legion, I guess. My friend Lady Dama, she's pretty big on the whole 40k lore. She reads like a lot of the books and stuff, so she named this after, I guess, a character from one of her books that she read. I'm assuming that's what it is, so it's kind of neat to see how she just kind of like, she's like, oh yeah, this is what I'm going to call my units. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool, because I have no clue about the lore about 40k. I can kind of surmise what it's about, but I really don't know all that much. But anyways, so yeah, that makes the deployment here on the right-hand side. And then finally, on the far right-hand side of her battlefield, she has her second objective located on the bottom of that on-ramp, and then right in front of it, she has a Chaos Decimator. This thing is like a Dreadnought, I believe. It's like a walking demon engine. It's got a 5-up invulnerable save. It's got 2 Soul Burner Petards, I believe is what it's called. Basically, it's a very devastating attack. It's 2d3 assault, so you take 2d3 and you roll them, and then for every 1 that she takes, I believe she takes a mortal wound, but she only takes 1 mortal wound, but for every, I forgot, I think it's 3-up or something like that, whatever it takes to hit the roll, she gets a mortal wound. So she can possibly get 12 mortal wounds off of that thing, which is absolutely scary. And from my understanding of the rules, mortal wounds are just like their Age of Sigmar counterparts, where you can't save against them no matter what, and that's absolutely terrifying because my guys are in Imperial Guard. We're kind of squishy. We're not really known for being able to take any damage, so we're also not known for putting out damage either, but we'll see exactly how it rolls out. So that makes a deployment. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we roll off for turn number 1 for initiative. Alright, so we're starting off with turn number 1. The Heretic of Starties actually go first. Lady Dama is still the initiative on that part, so as you can see, this photo is taken directly after the movement phase, and she just comes up as quick as she possibly can. I have that sneaky suspicion that she would actually be really good at close combat and stuff because she is chaos after all. So you can see, pretty much she just advances pretty much all of her stuff that she possibly could. She first of all advances with her, on the right hand side there, she sends up her Decimator first, heading to that concrete building there to take out my second objective. She also also moves up her tank at the same time, kind of parks some catacomb there next to the ruins of the table. Right behind them, she has her Chosen as well as her Sorcerer, Iskander Kaon, so that guy's taking cover behind the tank, which makes sense because that thing's a big, huge piece of rolling iron, and why not take cover behind it? On the left-hand side, she advances both units of Chaos Cultists through the department store towards the underpass, taking cover behind there, as well as her Havocs. Her Havocs actually have enough speed to basically go up 6 inches to the base of that building, because she rolled a 6 for advance, and then put her Havocs up on the second level of that walkway, which gives her a commanding view of the entirety of my main line, and she can open up with those heavy weapons. Lucky for me, though, because she advanced, she really can't shoot with those guys this turn, so that's kind of like a small blessing. And on the left-hand side, she just moves up her Chaos Space Marine 6 inches along the entirety length of that wall, which puts her in perfect covered fire position to open up on my first 10-man unit of jury members there on the left-hand side of my flank. So that pretty much makes the move phase for this one. Here's a close-up of her 10-man Space Marine squad taking position along that wall, putting them in perfect position to open up on my jury, which would be really sad if she does that, because those guys have a lot of bolt guns, and I have the sneaky suspicion, because these guys are Space Marines, are just as good at shooting as they are assaulting. And here's a close-up of her 2 10-man units of Chaos Cultists. They advance as well, taking cover beneath that gantry walkway, so that way I think what her plan is that she's going to send those guys charging into Alexander's department store and engage my guys in close combat, so that way she can secure that first objective. And here's a close-up of her Havocs, getting up to the second platform of that overpass and getting ready to put on some long-range fire during her next turn. Over in the center part of her table, she has her Predator tank kind of catty-cornered there on the right-hand side of that ruined building. Right behind that tank, of course, she has her Sorcerer, and then her 6 Chosen as well. So, once again, closing the gap in order to assault me here. And then finally, she has her Hellbrute, not a Hellbrute, her Chaos Decimator. I believe that model is called a Hellbrute, what actually called. I think it was in the Dark Vengeance or Dark Imperium starter box. I'm not sure what starter box it was in, but it was in one of those new ones. My buddy laid down and she bought that real quick to create this army. I guess it's called a Hellbrute or Hell Monster or something like that. Anyways, she's proxying it for a Decimator, which is a forge-rolled model, I believe. So either way, it's very scary. I'm terrified of it, and it's getting closer to my army, which is always a bad thing. So with movement phase over, we go directly to the psychic phase, and in this part I actually realized how powerful psychers really are in this game. Like, I didn't take any psychers in my army because I figured this is the year 40,000. What the heck do you need magic for, psychic powers for? Well, this picture kind of shows me what it's for. She casts 2 spells. I forgot what I believe one's called Infernal Gateway, the other one is called Smite, I believe is what it's called. Either way, they cause D3 mortal wounds every single time you get those off, and she caused maximum amount of mortal wounds on my very first squad of Special Weapons Squad. That was Mega Man's crew. Those guys were armed with my flamers, and they just went up in smoke just like that. And I'm starting to think that maybe I need to rethink my whole attitude towards psychers and psychic abilities, because that was pretty terrifying, and I'm pretty sad about that. So yeah, I'm thinking that maybe picking an Imperial Guard army was probably not the best thing I could have done, just because I remember talking to some of the people at the games from like, yeah, I'm thinking about playing Imperial Guard, and they just kind of looked at me kind of weird. So maybe that should have told me that I got the wrong army. But anyways, it doesn't matter. This army I already had anyways, so it didn't cost me extra money, but bam, there you go. 6 Special Man Weapon Squad is gone. One of my first elite choices up in smoke. Also, during the shooting phase, I got really lucky. She opened up with her Predator onto my unit of Killjoys. I lose 3 Killjoys after she fires everything. She was just rolling really it was just really poor, some of the rolling that she was making. She was rolling a lot of 1s. I think for her Predator cannon, I think that was the thing that moved the most. I believe she rolled 1s to hit with her last cannon with her heavy bolter as well as her Havoc missiles. I think maybe 1 might have worked, but for the most part, most of her shots didn't really do all that much. Needless to say, though, regardless of whatever shot she rolled, they just, smeared my guys across the table, because I think the best save I have is like a 5-up save and a 5-up invuln for some of my characters. So yeah, I'm not really good at taking hits. I'm pretty good at giving hits, I think. At least I think I am. I don't know, we'll be seeing here in my turn when it comes to the shooting phase. But yeah, I lose 3 Killjoys after the fact. And then over here on my left-hand flank, my 10-man unit of infantry of the last cannon, which was my jury, which is Limited's crew, those guys took 7 kills, so that unit is down to 6 guys after those Chaos Space Marines opened up. Just a normal tactical squad with a missile launcher, as well as her bolt guns, was able to chew up my army, my unit right here, like it was nobody's business. And I'm starting to think, yeah, maybe I picked the wrong army to use after all, because my guys are just getting killed. But at the same time, though, yeah, it's sad I lost 6 guys, but I have a lot more squads in my army, so maybe I have the numbers thing going for me, so maybe that'll help me out in the long run. But yeah, that was pretty sad. So with shooting phase over, we go directly to the morale test phase. And after it was all said and done, I ended up losing one guy, and the reason why is because I used my summary execution ability from my Lord Commissar who was inside the Alexander's department store, so only one guy runs away. As for the killjoys, because my commander is so close to him, they could use his leadership, so when I rolled under 9, so because of that, none of them ran away either. So pretty successful round of shooting for Lady Dominant. Now I'm kind of afraid to see exactly what happens when these guys engage within rapid fire range as well as close combat phase. So yeah, we'll see exactly what happens with that. So with that being said, we go directly to the top of bottom of turn number 1 for the Imperial Guard. Okay, so that takes the bottom of turn number 1 for the Astronaut Term, and that goes directly after the movement phase. As you can see, I really don't do much movement. My goal here is not to really engage these guys. From my understanding how this army works, they're designed for you to shoot and whittle down your opponent as much as possible before you make close combat with them. So that's exactly what I did. The only movements that really happened in the center table. First of all, I take my Colts Commandos, which are my second platoon, which is all made up of 3 10-man infantry squads. I move them up along that debris as well as the barbed wire to take up cover positions to basically create a line of fire for them to fire upon the center portion of my opponent's army. At the same time, I also move up a couple of my commanders and characters as well, so that way they can start issuing out orders, and because the shooting phase is coming up here pretty soon since I have no psychers, and I'm ready to put the hurt down. So that pretty much makes the move phase for my army. Here's a close-up of the second platoon taking cover position along the entirety of that ruined structure, so that way I have a nice little base of fire. I also get +1 to my cover saves because I would then cover. That also helps out as well. As you can see, I got my platoon commander, Judge Cold, right in the back behind my 10-man unit of jury members right there in the center. Also on the right-hand side, I got Commander CheapSkate as well as my fire control officers, Judge Herschel as well as Judge Hershey and Judge Anderson on either side of them, so that way they can lay down some barrage fires if necessary. So that's movement here in the center table. And over here on the right-hand side, I also moved my veteran squad, the Suicide Squad, as well as Bustin' Nine's crew. Those guys are armed with 3 plasma guns as well. I moved them up in that position to actually kind of create a blocking position because that Decimator is coming down that way, and I'm going to try to put as much high-strength shots as I can using maximum charge of my plasma guns in order to kind of whittle that thing down as well. So that pretty much makes the move side here on the right-hand flank. Since I have no psychics, we skip the psyker phase, and instead we go direct to the shooting phase, and the very first thing I do is I start giving out orders. I believe that I forgot the name of the order is. That's the one that lets you reroll ones to hit, because I plan on putting on some long-range fires with my guys. So you can see here I put that command, that reroll ones to hit roll onto my Pelago Slam Kings. I also have Judge Cold put the same command onto the iron sights on the right-hand side, and I use Commander CheapSkate to put exactly the same roll onto my jury there in the center, as well as put one onto my 10-man veteran squad there on the left-hand side as well, because these orders are going to be very, very important for me because I plan on putting on some long-range shots to destroy some stuff. And up here on the top of the opposite building, Judge Gosling also gives exactly the same order to my snipers, so that way they can also get rerolls that one is hit to cause some pain as well. So now that my orders are given, we start with the shooting phase. And as you see, the very first thing I do, I managed to slip a wound onto the Chaos Decimator. I had all my conscripts open up with that thing all at once. I do only have strength 3 with attacks, so because I had to roll, I think 5s or 6s, I forgot which one it was, or to wound that thing. I managed to get off 1 wound, even after all the invulnerable slaves, as well as armor saves. So, you know, I'm starting to realize that maybe taking a strength 3 army was not a good idea at all. At the same time, though, there is some consolation prize. I take the last cannons from my 3 suppressive elements inside of my 2 suppressive elements inside the Alexander's department store. They got good line of sight onto that predator. I also take aim with the missile launcher as well as the plasma guns from my veteran squad as well as my weapon squad, and we just converge fire onto the predator. Managed to put that thing down and out of action, got 12 wounds off on it and destroyed that thing, which is absolutely amazing at that part as well. That thing didn't explode, which I was hoping it would do to cause some mortal wounds onto my opponent's sorcerer as well as her chosen, but that didn't really pan out all that much. And then of course my sniper fire, I did manage to put 1 wound onto Iskander Kaon, and that's because one of my snipers rolled a 6 to wound, and because of that automatically afflicts a mortal wound, which really helped out a lot in that part. So, you know, shooting is not as spectacular as I wanted to, but hey, at least that tank is taken care of. Meanwhile, I'll take my second platoon, my Colts Commandos, and have them concentrate fire on both the Chaos Cultists on the bottom of that gantry walkway on the left-hand side, as well as the Havocs on the top. After all was said and done, I managed to kill 2 Havocs, which are the 2 plasma-wielding ones, so those 3 heavy weapon guys are still up there, which could be pretty bad. I'm not sure exactly what that will do, but I'm kind of interested to see exactly what happened. But 2 dead Chaos Space Marines is always better than none. At the same time, managed to kill 5 Chaos Cultists from the dregs of the Talok, so that Chaos Cultist unit is now cut in half as well. And this is after the morale check for those guys as well, because I forgot to mention this part is taken after the morale phase as well. So yeah, now that squad is pretty much at half strength. And then over here, I take my one last cannon heavy weapons team that I have left from my Limited Heads crew in the left-hand flank. I have it open up the last cannon onto this unit of Chaos Space Marines. I managed to inflict 6 wounds onto these guys as well, and these Chaos Space Marines only have 1 wound apiece. Just took those guys apart, cut that unit down to only 4 guys are left over. Now, I'm assuming that the rules, because we really clearly figured out the rules of the damage, but we figured this is how it worked. We think the rules when it comes to damage is kind of like Age of Sigmar, where like it doesn't matter if it's targeting one guys or a unit, the damage just spills over to the other models around it. I'm assuming that's how it works. You guys can tell us in the comments below, because that's how we decided to roll it, because we think that's how it works. So because of that, that unit of Chaos Space Marines now is cut down to nothing. So while my guys really can't take the hits from being shot at, those heavy weapons though, man, whew, they really put out some fire, which is pretty amazing on that part. So yeah, pretty cool going for that part as well. So that takes us to the top of turn number 2 after the movement phase for the Heretic of Starties. As you can see in this photo, Lady Dama just starts sending her guys forward as well. This time she doesn't advance them though, she just moves up the normal 6 inches. On the far right hand side, she sends her Chaos Decimator directly towards my next unit of special weapons guys, and I'm kind of scared to see what that thing can do when it comes to grips with my troops. At the same time, she takes her Chosen as the general, puts them in the middle of that ruined building in the middle because they don't want to get shot at from all the fire that's coming from all their way. And at the same time, left-hand flank, she also has her troops going on the gantry walkway. I think what her plan is to shoot and then assault with her troops, and then kind of start engaging my guys in close combat, try to take my objective there on the left-hand side of the table. Here's a close-up of her infantry units on the left-hand side, her 2 units of Chaos Cultists as well as Chaos Space Marines. They move their normal 6 inches, getting ready to lay down some rapid fire because now they're within rapid fire range, so now these guys get twice as many shots. But on the flip side, they're also within rapid fire range for my weapons too, which is also pretty cool. And here's a close-up Lady Domina's Chosen as well as her Chaos Sorcerer right in the middle of that ruined building, moving up their 6 inches. I have the sneaky suspicion those guys are going to shoot at me and then assault as well. And that pretty much makes the movement here on the center portion of the table. And of course, on the right-hand side, the little Chaos Decimator that could just moves up just a normal, I think, 10 inches forward, getting closer to order to lay down some fire with those Soul Burner petards. And I'm kind of scared to see exactly what's going to happen when that thing cuts loose during the shooting phase. And that pretty much makes the move phase for Lady Domina. Fortunately for Lady Dama during the psychic phase, she wasn't able to get any of her spells off. She was just rolling really poorly during the psychic phase, so because of that we skipped that part. So we go directly to the shooting phase, and now I can see why that Chaos Decimator is so absolutely terrifying. They put 5 mortal wounds onto Bussa9's crew. Only got 1 guy left with the plasma gun that's left over after that craziness. 5 guys just went up into smoke like it's nobody's business. Luckily for me, I don't think I have to take any panic tests because my guys are so near close to that, but man, that was absolutely terrifying just watching those guys just get vaporized by having their souls being burned by a petard of nothing else. I'm not even sure what a petard is, but man, it's absolutely devastating, and now I'm afraid of that thing. And I realize how deadly Chosen are when it comes to shooting. All of her Chosen as well as her Sorcerer open up with regular bolts of fire as well as throwing frag grenades as well. And as you can see, I used to have a 10-man squad of infantry right there in the middle behind that barbed wire fence. And they're gone now. So between the Chosen as well as those Havocs, man, those guys just absolutely chewed up everything that I had. An entire 10-man squad went up in smoke like it was nobody's business. And now I realize that Chaos Space Marines are just as good as they are shooting as what I'm assuming is close combat as well. So now I'm absolutely terrified because I don't think I have anything that can stop this once they come in close range enough. I'm sorry, I made a mistake before. It was her Havoc squad that destroyed my jury. Her Chosen opened up on the Killjoys, managed to kill 2 of those guys in the process of that. So because of that, now my Killjoy infantry squad is now at half strength, which is kind of sad. I was afraid at first that she was going to target my character, Commander CheapSkate, but then I realized that there's that character special rule where the only way you can shoot at a character is if they're the closest unit towards them. So that's kind of nice. No more sniping at dudes anymore. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, kind of sad for my infantry squad, but at the same time good for my commander. And over here on my right-hand flank, that squad of Chaos Cultists and Chaos Space Marines opened up. They killed the last 2 laser cannon crew guys that I had from my jury on the right-hand side of this department store. So those guys got atomized off the table. And their Chaos Cultists with that rapid-fire ability, even with the cover saves that I received from cover, managed to kill 5 of my sleeping dogs in the process of doing that. So absolutely devastating. Which I'm also kind of interested to see because now that I've seen what rapid-fire can do with auto guns, I'm kind of excited to see what it can do with last guns. I mean, they're exactly the same in terms of stats. So it'd be kind of cool to see exactly what happens when I return fire. So yeah, that pretty much makes the shooting phase on this side. So with shooting dome, we go directly to the charge phase. As you can see in this photo, kind of hard to see because these guys are just gray plastic, but Lady Dynamite takes her chosen and charges them across the barbed wire directly into the iron sights. So now my 10-man squad is going to take on 6 chosen. I'm kind of afraid to see what will happen because my guys are mediocre at best and these guys are elite, so I'm kind of afraid that these guys are just going to chew and eat my guys alive is what I'm afraid of. But at the same time, I'm also kind of excited because I want to see what my men are made out of as well, so that'd be kind of cool to see what happens. At the same time, our 2 units of Chaos Cultists charge into the ground level of Alexander's department store. They completely surround up my sleeping dogs, so now those guys will be engaged in close combat as well. Luckily for me, I still have my Pelagos Land Kings up on the 2nd floor, as well as my platoon commander and my Lord Commissar, so we kind of see exactly what happens in the close combat phase. And the Chaos Decimator charged directly into Blitzkrieg Bob, the lone survivor of that 6-man fire team for that special weapons squad, Busted Nine's crew. I have no illusions that this poor guy is going to be eaten alive by that thing, so I'm not even going to hold my breath and hope for the best, because I know that guy's already a dead man. So with charged over, we go directly to the combat phase, and needless to say, those Chaos Cultists had no problem whatsoever eating up the rest of my guys and just killing my sleeping dogs. So now these guys move up their 3 inches and start forming around my objective there. My platoon commander's in serious trouble if I don't do something really quick to get him secured so that way he doesn't get killed. And this is the part where I realize how frightening Chaos Chosen are during the combat phase. I used to have a 10-man squad of iron sights there. They're a healthy, fully manned 10-man squad. And now they're all gone. And I did not manage to inflict a single wound against them, against those chosen. They just chewed my guys and basically ate them alive. My platoon commander is standing there looking at him like, WTF, what just happened to my platoon? Because 2 of his squads got wiped out in this last turn. So absolutely terrifying. I am absolutely afraid of Chaos Space Marines now. I didn't realize we were really not good at close combat and how bad I was going to be at close combat. So now I'm like, oh no, what did I do? However, Blitzkrieg Bob did manage to kill that Chaos Decimator single-handedly. Actually, I'm joking. He didn't survive whatsoever. That Chaos Decimator just ran right over him and just ate him like it's nobody's business. Yeah, he really killed Blitzkrieg Bob really quickly. He did his 3-inch follow-through, as you can see here, and now he's engaged directly with Judge Drake for the Destroyer. So now my platoon commander is facing down this monstrous Chaos Decimator for the next combat phase. So now I'm absolutely terrified to see exactly what's going to happen. So with all that craziness done with the combat phase and the morale phase, all my guys running away, we now go directly to turn number 2 for the Astronaut Term. As you can see in this photo, what I do is I start pulling my troops back away from the main fighting line because now I'm realizing that my guys are not really equipped to fight these things in close combat. So what I need to do is fall back and start shooting and start causing some problems as well. So the first thing I do, of course, is I take my platoon commander, I kind of tuck him back a little bit further. I send up both my officers, my fleet officer, as well as my master of our barrage or our master artillery guy. My 2 fire control officers, I send them up forward as well to kind of act as a blocking position to protect my commander. At the same time, I also move back the killjoys a little bit to kind of create a human shield around my commander so that way he doesn't get killed as well. And I also pull back my veteran squad a little bit further back as well. I also disengage with Judge Drake and pull him back as well, so he will not be able to shoot this turn, but that really doesn't matter though because all I really need him to do is be able to issue out commands. And that pretty much makes it the movement phase for my troops. And as you can see, here's like a little closer with my center lines. As you can see, I got my fire control officers, Judge Hersey, as well as Judge Anderson, as well as my platoon commander, Judge Cold, as well, kind of creating like this little barrier between the right-hand flank of my killjoys. I'm planning on using my 2 fire control officers' special rules in the next shooting phase, so once they use those one-use abilities, I have no problem letting them get killed because their purpose is pretty much served. As you see there, I have my little 5-man unit of killjoys kind of correcting a bodyguard unit to protect Commander CheapSkate. And here's a close-up of my Suicide Squad backing up a little bit to put a little bit more room between myself as well as that Chaos Decimator and Judge Drake who disengage in close combat. Now Judge Drake will not be able to shoot this turn, but it really doesn't matter though because all I really need to do is issue out commands. What I'm really concerned with is my 10-man veteran squad getting ready to put some hate onto that Chaos Decimator and just basically put down the smackdown. Over here on the right-hand side, I only have 1 squad left of Mason's Marauders, so what I do is I take Judge Mason, who's my platoon commander. During the move phase, I move up to the 2nd floor right next to my Lord Commissar, so that way he's not getting engaged in close combat. And that pretty much makes up the move phase on this right-hand side. So in move phase over, we go directly to the shooting phase, and the very first thing I do is I start issuing commands. I take Commander Judge Mason of Mason's Marauders. I have him have the first rank, second rank fire special rule. I put him on the Blago Slam Kings. And the reason why is because now the units downstairs are now within rapid fire range. So that means these guys get to fire twice with their rapid fire weapons. So I'm exactly see exactly what will happen after the shooting phase. And as you see in this photo, I take Commander CheapSkate and do exactly the same thing as well. Put first rank fire, second rank fire onto the Killjoys, as well as to the Suicide Squad there on the left hand side, using my platoon commander as well, so that way they can start putting the smackdown onto things and firing multiple times with rapid fire ability. As for my conscripts on the left hand side, I use the move command ability on these guys, and the reason why is because now I realize that my opponent's left objective is completely open, so my plan is to have these guys shoot and then head over and start advancing towards that other objective, and hopefully I can secure that and then hold 3 objectives and hopefully not just 2 and then win this battle report. As you can see in this photo, the unit of the Chaos Cultists there on the first floor are totally gone. My guys just atomized those dudes, just opening up with them with rapid fire shots abilities. So that was pretty awesome to see that part. So now my objective is now secure again. And then the Havoc squad that was located here on the top of the gantry walkway, I took my officer of the fleet and I used his strafing run ability, and I rolled a 6 on that one, so because I scored 3 mortal wounds onto those Havocs have only 1 wound apiece, so those guys got atomized just like that, and those guys are no more, which is pretty freaking amazing as well. So I do use my fleet officer's ability. It's only a one-time use, only per battle, but at the same time though, I'm okay with it. I mean, that person, that's all you bring on the table for, so that part's taken care of. And then over here on the left-hand side, we successfully kill off the Chaos Decimator. Between the rapid-fire abilities I was using for my Suicide Squad, as well as the Killjoys, and the Artillery Barrage from my Artillery Master ability, we managed to put the final wounds we needed to onto this Decimator and just wiped it off the face of the planet. The thing that really put the most wounds on this, however, was the missile launcher that's in my Suicide Squad. I had him fire a crack missile. I managed to get that one off, as well as wounds. That took off the most wounds on top of that, as well as all the rapid-fire abilities that were coming from my shots as well. I also had my snipers on the 3rd floor also shoot at this thing as well. I think I also put a mortal wound in the process of doing that. So now that Chaos Decimator is completely destroyed. And after shooting at the Chaos Decimator, here's my conscripts. You see there, they used the move special ability on them, so they fired. I rolled a 6 for my advance, so that was enough for them to get to the ground floor and to get 6 inches outside of the building as well. My plan here is to have these guys run as quickly as they possibly can to the left-hand side, lay down my deployment zone, and secure that objective as well, because I have the sneaky suspicion she's going to take my objective within Alexander's department store. But either if that happens, because no troops are left behind on her objectives, I can secure those and still have more objectives than her, and hopefully win the battle report that way, just through victory points alone. Also, I forgot to take a picture of it earlier. I did manage to kill one of the Chosen in the process during the shooting phase, but during the charge phase, as you can see in this photo, I just charge everybody in. I send my platoon commander as well as the rest of my Killjoys. I also send my fleet commander, my fleet officer, as well as my artillery commander, and have those guys just kind of mob in right here and try to kill these Chosen as quickly as possible, because I need to delay these guys before they get to my commander, and that's all these guys are really doing, is just buying me time to secure that last objective. And it seemed like a good idea at the time. I decided to take my Blago Slam Kings, having charged in the remainder of these Chaos Cultists, and hopefully take these guys out in close combat as well. I say it was a good idea at the time because I forgot that there was a unit of 4-man Space Marine squad on the other side of that gantry walkway, so I inadvertently put myself in a pincer attack type situation. But at the same time though, I wanted to see how my I saw the opportunity to get rid of these Chaos Cultists, and that's why I did what I did. You'll see exactly what happens after the fact. So with charges done, this photo is taken directly after the combat phase as well as the morale phase. I managed to inflict 4 kills onto the Chaos Cultists. They managed to inflict 3 kills on my guys as well, so there's only 4 Chaos Cultists left, and there's also 7 of my Blago Slam Kings left over as well. So things are looking pretty good for the combat phase on this right-hand side of the battlefield. However, close combat over here on the right-hand side, on the center of the table, did not go exactly well. I did manage to kill 1 more Chosen, so that was kind of nice, but both my fleet officer as well as my platoon commander are dead. I have my artillery master as well as 2 Killjoys left over still as well, so that plan didn't work out well. But then again, I did buy my commander some more time to survive before the inevitable happens. Alright, so that takes us to the top of turn number 3 for the Heretic of Starties. This photo is taken after the moon phase. As you can see, I forgot about that 4-man squad of Space Marines here on the left-hand side as she just moves up closer to rapid fire range. I think her plan is to shoot my guys to pieces and then finish off whoever's left over in the charge phase during the close combat phase as well. So that's pretty devastating. A big tactical error on my side. And here's another photo of the close-up over 4 Chosen, just kind of getting in position to get ready to surround the leftovers of my center forces and just wiping those guys out as well, which is also pretty devastating for me as well. During the psychic phase, her sorcerer Iskander Kaon unleashes with both of her psychic abilities, again I believe is Smite, as well as Infernal Gaze, managed to kill 4 of my conscripts at the same time as well. Unfortunately for me, my Lord Commissar is not within range of this unit because these guys advance so far away from my Lord Commissar. So because of that, whatever I roll up for my losses for my morale will just end up being that. So, you know, like I said, tactical error on my part. I should have waited for my Lord Commissar to catch up to these guys because these guys are only leadership 4. But then again, like I said, this is my very first game of Warhammer. I'm bound to make a Warhammer 40k. I'm bound to make a mistake once in a while. So in the shooting phase, her chosen have no problem whatsoever just chewing up the rest of my survivors, which is using rapid fire bolters that they had, and so they just chewed those guys up and just blew them away into oblivion. And at the same time, I lose 4 members of the Plago Slime Kings, so exactly the same thing from these Chaos Space Marines. And so, yeah, definitely charging in against these guys in close combat was definitely a bad call on my end. So yeah, things are looking really bad here on my right-hand flank. And during the charge phase, of course, those Chaos Space Marines come in to wipe out the rest of my Plago Slam Kings. And now the only thing I have left protecting my objective is my Lord Commissar, Judge Fear, as well as my platoon commander, Judge Mason. So we'll see exactly what happens with that part. And this is where the fates were with me on this one. As you can see, there is nothing between Commander CheapSkate, my commander, as well as those 4 remaining chosen. Luckily for me though, Lady Dama had to roll like a 10 in order to make that charge distance. She rolled a 7, so because of that they failed their charge, and they pretty much just stand where they're at, which bought me some precious time because had those chosen charged into Commander CheapSkate, I have no doubt whatsoever that guy would have been chewed up to pieces by these chosen, and probably eaten alive and had his soul sacrificed to the closest chaos god. So, whew! Luckily for me for bad die rolling. And needless to say, in the close combat phase, they had no problem killing the rest of my Plago Slam Kings, no problem whatsoever. So that part was kind of sad. But then again, you know, you make a tactical error, you're going to pay for it. Alright, so that takes us back to the bottom of turn number 3 for the Astronaut Term. This photo is taken directly after the move phase. As you can see, I once again decided to make a tactical retreat with Commander CheapSkate as well as my Suicide Squad as well. So you can see my Suicide Squad in the very back part of the table, as well as Commander CheapSkate. They're kind of tucking back there so that way they can open up a barrage onto that unit of chosen to shoot those guys. At the same time, I decided to advance my my conscripts. I move them up to the max amount they could possibly go. I think I rolled like a 4 for their advance, so they moved 10 inches, getting closer to that other objective on the other bottom of that underpass as well. As you can see, I also advanced my Lord Commander. I also sent him out right, my Lord Commissar, have him advance up to where that brick wall is located as well. I do realize he's in range of the psychic abilities from the Sorcerer, but that's just the risk I'm going to have to take because what else am I going to do? And over on the left-hand side, I decided to say, F it, I'm just going to do it. I send both my platoon commander, Judge Mason, as well as my Lord Commissar, Judge Fear, and they start charging into those, getting them closer to those Chaos Cultists as well as those Chaos Space Marines, and just get ready to put the smack down on those guys. Here's a close-up shot of my conscripts getting ready to seize that objective. Hopefully I can control 3 objectives and win this battle report just through victory points alone. And here's a close-up of my snipers as well as Judge Gosling at the top level, getting ready to open up on those chosen, as well as my Suicide Squad and Commander CheapSkate ready to open up on that unit of chosen as well. Here's a close-up of both my Lord Commissar, Judge Fear, as well as Judge Mason getting ready to engage those Chaos Cultists as well as Chaos Space Marines because, dang it, we're the member of Imperial Guard and we're going to die fighting if we can. And during the shooting phase, as you can see this photo, I managed to kill 3 chosen. This is from a combined fire from both my snipers as well as my Suicide Squad as well, the Veteran Squad. We just opened up everything we had onto that unit as well. During the shooting phase, I used the first rank, second rank fire, no sorry, not first rank, second rank fire ability. I used the, the reroll to, reroll ones to hit rule from my Veteran Squad. So because of that, we just chewed up those units chosen like it was nobody's business as well. Unfortunately, Dominic, she just failed a lot of her ammo rolls, not her ammo rolls, her armor saves during that phase as well. So it was kind of sad for her, but at the same time, kind of good for me. So I'll take what I can get at this point. So during the shooting phase, I managed to kill those last 2 Chaos Cultists using the bolt gun that the shotgun that my platoon commander was using down the left-hand side. So that part was kind of cool. And I also managed to kill, I managed to kill one of those Chaos Space Marines at the same time using the bolt pistol from my Lord Commissar. So that was also kind of cool too, using the rapid fire ability. So that happened over here for the shooting phase. So, needless to say, I charged in both my platoon commander as well as my Lord Commissar on these last 3 Chaos Space Marines because, dang it, I'm going to fight for this objective if it's the last thing I possibly do. And as you can see, the greatest combat that has ever been fought took place here on the right-hand flank. First of all, I attacked with my, I believe I fought first with my Commissar, I believe is what it is. I managed to kill one of those guys, one of the Chaos Marines. No, I'm sorry. I fought first with my platoon commander, that's right. And I managed to kill, I think, one of those Chaos Space Marines in the process of doing that. Now, in turn, they managed to put 2 wounds onto my platoon commander, Judge Mason, as well as a wound onto my Lord Commissar as well. But my Lord Commissar, man, that guy is an absolute maniac. He managed to kill 2 of those Chaos Space Marines, or as it was one more. I forgot which one it was, but in the end, I managed to kill 2 of those 3 Chaos Space Marines. They managed to inflict some wounds on me back, so that part was absolutely amazing as well. Needless to say, there's only one last Chaos Space Marine left over, and that guy's probably going to run away during the morale check. And as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the end of the game. The only thing that my friend Lady Diamond has left is 1 Chaos Space Marine, 1 Chosen, as well as her Chaos Sorcerer. She realized she doesn't have enough troops to kind of secure anything. I'm about to secure 3 objectives at the same time, so she pretty much calls the game, and that's where it is, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, a lot of Imperial Guardsmen died during this battle report, but at the same time, I am playing Astronaut Term, so if I'm not dying, I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing something right. So, anyways, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this battle report is officially over. We're going directly to the after action report.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
Alright folks, now it's time for the After Action Report. This is the part of the battle report where we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle on Warhammer 40k. This is the After Action Report for the longest war, Warhammer 40,000, battle report number 1, ended up being a victory for yours truly. So let's go and talk about the losses real fast. For my losses, I lost Judge Anderson, Judge Hershey, 911 Mega Man's crew, 911 Bustin' Nine's crew, the Jury, Lemon Hit's crew, the Pelago Slam Kings, the Sleeping Dogs, and the entirety of 3rd Platoon for my company. At the same time, Lady Domina, she lost the Black Legion, the Dregs of the Talok, the Scions of Prospero, the Soulburner, as well as the Wrath of Titska, and the Marauder. In the end, Imperial Guard, I'm just going to tell you guys flat right now, it is a fun army to play. I love all the shooting, giving commands, the whole fight or die mentality of all the soldiers. Yeah, we're about as tough as a wet piece of tissue, and our fighting ability is pretty much like giving loving kisses to your opponent from a distance, but at the same time though, I just like the idea of playing these guys. I also like the idea of the whole narrative behind them too. They have like a very Starship Troopers vibe about them, like they gotta fight or die type of situation all the time. It's like every single fight is always hard earned, it's always earned in blood, and I don't know, something about that just kind of does it for me at the same time. Plus the fact that I'm using my Necromunda models to do this as well, like these guys are conscripts and they're sent on like a suicide mission to take on Chaos Space Marines of all things. It just it's like a fun idea to play, and I really like it. I don't know how the other editions of 40k were before this one. I never played 40k before, but I kind of like this version. It's a lot of fun. I can imagine how this game could become very, very rule heavy if you let it be in the other editions. But yeah, it was a lot of blasts. I could see how this army of Imperial Guard can be very powerful, however, if you give them the right equipment as well as playing it the right way as well. I'm still learning how to use this army, so please, by all means, put in suggestions about how to use an Astronaut Term for us in the comments, because that'll definitely help me out as well. I do realize, though, however, I am kind of light. I'm just fighting with light infantry is pretty much what I have. I really don't have much in terms of heavy equipment, heavy weaponry. I think I'm going to need to get some more vehicles in my army. Things like tanks, Tauroxes, Chimeras might do the job. Vehicles that might be able to put in some more damage, because I know from what I've seen online that a lot of Imperial Guard armies are very tank and vehicle heavy, so maybe I need to do exactly the same thing for mine to make it a little bit more tougher. One of the things I learned really quickly from this battle report is that I can never fight anything one-on-one. It's kind of like playing the Empire for Warhammer. My units aren't strong enough to deal with anything by themselves. I have to overwhelm and completely envelop my enemies to do the job right. According to the United States Army War Doctrine, when you fight against an opponent, you should always go for 3-to-1 odds. So for example, if you're fighting a squad of 10 men, you should go in with a platoon of 30 men to take on that target. And I think exactly that's what I'll do as well. I'll start using my platoons and keeping them together instead of spreading them out as much, and have them engage on platoon level engagements against my opponents. So I think that's what I gotta do for my guys as well. Chaos Space Marines are extremely deadly. They're really good at shooting as well as in close combat. They're very elite. Unfortunately for them though, there's not that many of them, so when they do die it does cost a bit, whereas my guys, if I lose some guys, I always have more where they came from, so that's kind of nice as well. I imagine that the regular Adeptus Astartes, the other Space Marines, are just as tough. These guys, if not tougher, so I'm excited to see exactly how that'll stack up when I fight against my my Space Marine opponent as well. Made a lot of errors in this battle report. I do realize that. I'm engaging my opponent when I shouldn't have as well, so I need to stop, remind myself to check myself when I do that as well. But at the same time, having Lady Domina abandoning her objectives and having her charge at me trying to destroy me, I think really helped me out in this battle report, because it left her objectives wide open and allowed me to maneuver and try to take them and try to spread out her forces. I think that's one of the reasons why I won on this one as well. As always, I'm looking forward to playing against Lady Domina. She's a fun opponent to play against, and I'm looking forward to playing another game of 40,000 with her as well. Now, I also got to give out a shout out too. I got to give out a shout out to Lord Tremendous. The reason why I'm giving a shout out for Lord Tremendous is because of two reasons. One, he was the reason why I got into the 9th Age. Watching him do 9th Age battle reports got me interested in doing the 9th Age, and that's why I started doing 9th Age battle reports as well. And since he did Warhammer 40k battle reports for like almost half a year now, I have to blame you, Lord Tremendous. I blame you for this. This is the reason why we're doing these now, because those battle reports were pretty awesome. They looked like a lot of fun, and I was like, all right, let's try this out for ourselves. And so now we are doing this. The Chaos Gods have whispered to me in my gaming group in the middle of the night, and now we're doing 40k battle reports as well. So, Lord Tremendous, if you're watching this, thank you very much for making those battle reports, and keep on rocking those. As well as you guys, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is always appreciated. And also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as Google Plus for all the greatest and latest on what our hobbying needs. As always, you guys, that's good for this one. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Remember, we alternate between different battle reports between Age of Sigmar, Warhammer 8th Edition Fantasy Battle, as well as Necromunda, and now Warhammer 40,000 for the longest war. Okay, you guys, that's good for this one. We'll see you in the next one. You guys stay classy. Peace out.